Hello and welcome to the Watering Hole. Thanks for checking out this clip. Don't forget to like and subscribe because that'll make the baby Jesus cry, and I know how much you guys love making the baby Jesus cry. I don't know why it's not working anymore. Anyway, onto the tweets. So starting with the Anti-Birth Control League of America.
God, we were just talking about superheroes, and now we've got a Justice League for fucking these people.
Well, no, okay, so to be fair, this Twitter account has like 50 followers. They're not like a real thing. But
their name is literally Ban the Pill. What is going on here?
Yeah, they showed up in one of my threads recently, and I argued with them. But they're the kind of person that, like, they'll say that they're open to new information, that they'll change their mind in the face of new information. But anytime they're confronted with new information that would force them to change their mind, they just ignore it and go to another section of the thread and start arguing with someone else. It's like there are at least 3 spots in the thread where they stopped arguing with me and just transferred to someone else. So the first tweet is, as long as lust is considered the rightful private hobby of every American, there will be those who go in for the unnatural.
What the fuck does unnatural mean?
So I picked this one because I'm sure that unnatural means homosexuality, which anyone who knows anything about nature will know that homosexuality is all over the place in nature.
You know what else is in nature?
What's
being
that?
Trans. There are lions that will grow, like lionesses, that in the absence of an actual like head for the lion pack will start taking on the male traits for the pack. Yeah. Like, just all these things that we do are not uniquely human. They're very natural.
Anyway, next tweet from Anti-Birth Control League of America. When discussing large families, there is a tendency to list all the cons and none of the pros. Cons, expense, stress, stigma. Pros, having a large family.
That is circular as feck.
But also the cons outweigh the pros there. Obviously.
Yeah.
Like, the pro is like, yeah, you got a big family. Like, okay, what pros does that actually provide you with? Like, the cons are you're super stressed out. You've got lots more expensive stigmatization. Like, yeah, no, you shouldn't stigmatize people with large families. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, they've got a lot more expensive. They've got a lot more stress. The family dynamics are going to be weird. You can't pay enough attention to all your kids if you got too many kids.
Yeah, what do you do in that situation?
Like, I have 3 kids, and I struggle with the question of, like, how do I make sure that all my kids are getting approximately equal attention and that I treat them approximately equally? And it's really fucking hard.
It's hard to do that with pets, let alone kids.
I can't imagine doing that with, like, 8 or 9 kids. It would be ridiculous. I'm so happy I had a vasectomy. So fucking happy. Best decision I ever made.
See, for now, I don't have to make the decision because Raz had a hysterectomy, but
yeah,
that's a rarity here in the States. It's kind of hard to get those.
It is, yeah. Next, we've got Ark Encounter says it's National Zookeeper Week. So who cares about what they said? But what I find funny about this one is that it's they've got, for 200 animals, they've got at least 7 zookeepers. I don't know if this is their entire zookeeper staff, but they've got 7 zookeepers for 200 animals. And they claim that there were 7,000 animals on the Ark with 8 zookeepers on the Ark.
Don't you know? They had the power of God and Sonic the Hedgehog on their side.
And Sonic the Hedgehog.
They needed to do it quickly, obviously.
Didn't he turn into God Sonic when he was gold or whatever?
I mean, Super Sonic's been a thing for a while, yeah.
Yeah.
just the trail off there.
You know Sonic better than I do. You know what?
I run a whole podcast about Sonic the Hedgehog with 3 other people on Fridays.
More tweets. So this next tweet, this one actually fucking hurts me personally because this is from Harina Akuma. I might be saying that. I'm probably saying that wrong. I'm sorry. This person has been with me for years. they actually designed one of the avatars that was in my final competition for like what would become my final avatar before I had 10,000 subscribers. This person's been with me since the beginning. So this fucking hurts me. Like I have debated whether or not to include this as part of Twit tweets, because I'm like, oh, but I like this person. I know this person. There's someone that's been a fan for years, and I know they're a good person at heart, but this is such a bad take. And so this was in a discussion about puberty blockers, not any of the stuff that's in here. They say it's not anti-trans. I mentioned that like the things they were saying about puberty blockers were anti-trans talking points. So they're saying it's not anti-trans, it's anti-unnecessary harm. Gender dysphoric kids can wait 4 years, but 20-year-olds can't glue their tits back on nor regain the ability to reproduce. Not to mention all the changes made by HRT, that's hormone replacement therapy. With currently trending consistent affirmation model, it's even worse.
So there's an aspect of this take that I agree with, but it's said in the worst way possible.
Yes.
So the constant affirmation thing, I do think is an issue, because there's a point where you do validate people's self-abuse in certain ways.
Yes.
However, categorically, when we are talking about trans issues, that's not the case. Currently, the consensus statistically is that by not having that affirmation, by not having that care for trans people,
it leads to suicide.
Their likelihood of suicide increased. They are one of the highest rates of suicidality, suicide ideation. And it's and there's a bunch of dumb talking points that come from this. I'm gonna rant about this tweet if that's okay.
Just a second though, because this was in response to this whole discussion was exclusively about puberty blockers. Puberty blockers are so that there might be a kid that is susceptible to the trends. They see that all the cool kids are trans or whatever, so they say that they are too. If they get through, it's so hard to actually get trans affirming care that puberty blockers are basically to keep a kid from going through dysphoric puberty until they actually know for sure that they are trans, until they're older and they can actually make that decision.
Well, and there's even more to it than just the dysphoric puberty too. There's certain things that happen during puberty that are almost irreversible. Like if you're assigned male at birth, and there's a way that your vocal cords will shape themselves, that it can take years of speech therapy to reverse, and even then, it's not always perfect.
Yeah.
It's not even just dysphoria stuff. It's biological changes that you can't deal with. The dysphoria during the time that they are going through puberty, that is a problem. But also, even after they start receiving care, it creates issues going forward that have to be corrected for. Like, if you have somebody who's a trans man, but they are going through a female puberty in the beginning, they can develop, if they develop sufficiently large breasts, guess what? As soon as they become able to actually start getting gender affirming care, they're going to, until they are able to get top surgery, which is very expensive, they're going to have to wear a binder. And that can get incredibly uncomfortable, especially for long periods of time. But that's what they're going to need to do as an adult, because you didn't give them the opportunity to avoid that puberty earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, because that's the whole point of the puberty blockers is a 20-year-old cannot glue their tits back on. So give them puberty blockers so they don't grow tits until they know whether or not they want them.
Puberty blockers work for about 5 years. That's how they function currently. There are some side effects to them. Some of the side effects are identical to the side effects we see with birth control.
Yeah. Well, also, worth mentioning before I forget to mention it is that puberty blockers are not the same as hormone replacement therapy.
True.
Hormone replacement therapy is people that have already gone through puberty. They need to change their hormonal balance to adjust how their body, and this ties back into the what defines sex conversation that we had earlier, is that you just from taking hormones, someone that went through puberty as male can grow breasts and those breasts can be capable of lactating with nothing more than hormone treatment.
Yeah, almost as if our bodies are capable of both things all the time.
Yeah. But puberty blockers are not hormone replacement therapy. They're not the same thing.
So this tweet, when it begins, it's not anti-trans, it's anti-necessary harm. This reads to me like, I'm not anti-gay, I'm anti-gay marriage. That's how that reads to me. It's the same logic.
But also, puberty blockers are to prevent unnecessary harm.
Yeah, that's their job.
Because that's the thing. Like this is one of the things. Like trans affirming care has a 99% success rate in, like, if you give a trans person trans affirming treatment, it's got a 99% success rate in the treatment. For any medical treatment, that's unprecedentedly good. I've had
There's
3 glasses of scotch. But yeah, no, so like if you get medical treatment for your cancer, if there's like a 70% success rating for that treatment,
that's amazing.
Trans care has 99% effectiveness. Why would we not give it?
Not to mention, like, going through this tweet, when you say like a 20-year-old can't glue their tits back on, guess what? Yes, they can. It's called a breast implant.
Yeah.
We've been doing them for years.
Yeah.
We have the ability to do that. For the I think it's actually less than 1%, but for the fraction of a percent of people that do end up having to undergo detransitioning, there are options for you for that. Not to mention, when you say a 20-year-old can't glue their tits back on, this sounds like that talking point where people say like, unnecessary genital mutilation, mutilation. You mean surgery? You mean the concept of surgery?
The unstated assumption here is that this is happening to children, that we're giving trans-affirming surgeries to children, which we are not. That's the point of the puberty blockers, to stop them from going through dysphoric puberty, so that it's easier to treat them for being like to give them trans-affirming care later in life when it can be firmly established that yes, you are trans, no, you're not following the trend, as is the fear, because puberty blockers are reversible. To reverse the effects of puberty blockers, you just stop taking them, then you go through puberty.
Because it's the same. It functionally, what they perform for the body is the same thing that the body would naturally do if you underwent a late stage puberty. And most of the risks with puberty blockers are identical to the same risks you get with late stage puberty. One of the biggest ones is like, there's a chance of some bone weakness. You might experience some bone weakness. That happens with late stage puberty too.
Well, and the doctors that are prescribing puberty blockers, one of the things they're also doing is being like, hey, this is one of the known side effects. Take extra calcium, take extra vitamin D, and follow this workout regimen to prevent that.
Not to mention, like, I know that a big headline came out, and people like Blair White have been shouting it out and freaking out about it and going, oh my God, the trust the science people are really quiet right now. It was the study that found that there were 6 cases of brain swelling. Yeah,
I was about to bring that up. That, like, this was literally in response to me retweeting that. It's like, yeah, there were 6 cases of brain swelling. Do you know how many of those cases actually had to do with trans-affirming care versus
1.
Just precocious puberty? It was just 1.
It was 1. Not to mention, as far as puberty blockers are concerned, 6 cases out of the, 3,000 to 4,000 per year that get prescribed puberty blockers.
That's literally nothing.
That is considered,
like,
the article that I read on it.
I don't say that to minimize the people that are actually going through the problems with brain swelling and stuff like that. Absolutely, that's an issue. But statistically speaking, it is insignificant.
It's what was the way it was phrased? It was, when I was reading an article on it, the doctor specifically phrased it as, it doesn't even reach the criteria for statistical significance.
Yes. It's like vaccines. Like, yes, vaccines do sometimes cause harm, but the harm that they prevent overwhelmingly is, like, it so much outweighs the harm that they cause, to the point where, like, I would consider vaccines to be the most important medical development in human history. And this is along those same lines, where, like, the downsides are so minimal, as, like, yes, absolutely, it sucks for the people that experience those. I'm not trying to minimize that, but statistically speaking, it's probably not going to happen to you.
Yeah. And again, the amount of people that experience brain swelling, do you know there is another medication commonly on the market that has the exact same chance of that side effect and that exact same side effect, and it's just the birth control pill. The birth control pill has the exact same side effect in almost the exact same chance of happening.
Birth control pill is almost hormone replacement therapy of a kind, isn't it? Because like it's hormones that stop your body from producing or from ovulating, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, also, well, what I compared this to is like acetaminophen or Tylenol.
Yeah.
It like 50,000 people or 50,000 kids are admitted to ERs every year with problems caused by Tylenol. Tylenol causes acute liver failure. Tylenol can cause pulmonary edemas. Tylenol has severe side effects when you use too much of it. There's a reason why the Tylenol bottle says if you're using, like, if symptoms persist for more than 5 days, stop taking Tylenol, go see a doctor.
Was that acetaminophen or ibuprofen?
Acetaminophen.
Acetaminophen. Okay. Because I know that, like, for instance, my
ibuprofen has health effects as well.
Yes, like Rez is not able to have ibuprofen specifically because it's an NSAID.
Yes. Well, my specific point was that these over-the-counter drugs that are widely regarded as safe cause much more harm than puberty blockers do, and yet they're just considered safe. Nobody advocates against them, really. Like, some people do, but for the most part, they don't. Yeah, Tylenol is causes way more harm than puberty blockers. I still give my kids Tylenol. So if one of my kids needed puberty blockers, no problem. You got them.
No, that makes you an abusive parent. Don't you know the risks? Did you vaccinate your kids too? Did you do that as well?
Absolutely.
How dare you?
Absolutely. You know what? Right now, I'm actually pressuring my doctor to give me the HPV vaccine because it didn't exist when I was a kid, and I'm in an age group where it's not like age group, and I guess they give it to gay men before they give it to straight men. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm in a group where it's not really covered, and I'm just like, fuck it, I'll pay for it. It's a vaccine that prevents fucking cancer. Why would I not want that?
You want the human papillomavirus, though.
No,
you need
I
it.
Don't. And like,
you need it like Lyme disease. Lyme disease is a gift from God.
Something like 80% of people have HPV, and it's like, but there's like 9 strains of it, so it's like, I'll take the vaccine. Like, whatever. Give me the vaccine that prevents the cancer. If I have to pay for it, I'll pay for it. Just give me the fucking vaccine, man. Like, vaccines are great. Give me all the vaccines.
I just reminded of the TikTok of the guy going in and getting his it shows him getting the COVID vaccine, the Pfizer one, and then he goes, "No, you don't understand. I've had Johnson and Johnson. I've had this. I've had that. I finally had Pfizer. I now have all of the major vaccine variants. I will now ascend to godhood."
I love that. That's great. Vaccines are amazing. Why would I say no to any vaccine? Like, if it's physically safe to give it to me, give it to me. I'll take them all. Anyway, next up we got case orbs. If you have a private security, if you have private security, shut up about your thought on gun control.
Kevin Sorbo, maybe you should shut up about your thoughts on gun control.
Does he have private security? I feel like he can't afford that.
He should be able to. God's Not Dead was a big seller.
That's true. Well, so my thoughts on this were like obviously we're not trying to take all your guns away. We want our private security guards to have guns, but there should be restrictions on who gets guns. Maybe private security officers should be people that get guns, whereas just like everybody should not.
We could always use the German system. You have to prove you have a whenever you get your license for a gun, you have to prove that you have a reasonable reason to get one. So like, does your profession require one? Are you a hunter? Things like that are reasons to get a gun.
It's been a while since I looked it up, so I might have the details wrong on this, but I think in Ontario where I live, if you are divorced, you have to actually have, like, your ex-spouse has to sign off on you getting a gun before you're allowed to have one.
That, I actually kind of like that.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, that might be overly restrictive, but like when it comes to guns, I'd rather be overly restrictive than underly restrictive.
Yeah. I know. Kevin, also, I'm just going to say this right now. So if Kevin Sorbo would take this exact argument and use it to talk about abortion, then he would never talk about abortion. Because the
Yeah.
structure of this argument is if you fall into person category A, whom it would be hypocritical to talk about somebody else's rights, don't talk about somebody else's rights. Okay, K-Sorbs. So if you fall into person category A, where it would be hypocritical to talk about women's bodies, maybe don't talk about bodies you don't have.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
the same argument.
Anyway, next Kevin Sorbo. It's racist to ask for an ID to vote, but not to get on an airplane. Makes sense.
Because an airplane is not a human right, but voting is considered a right within the states. And
So,
having to have an ID can be an overly restrictive thing when it comes to voting, because you can just walk in and say, this is my social security number and verify it that way. Whereas on a plane, having an ID, it's a type of transportation, much like driving a car.
so here's the thing. Now, so in Canada, you actually do need ID to vote. Like, I need to provide my driver's license when I vote. Um, I'm not sure if you could do that with just a social insurance number. You probably could. I don't know. There's probably ways to do it, like to finagle it around. But what I think Democrats should do is to propose legislation that they call something like the Voter ID Act, an act to require ID from all voters, and require the voter ID, but the voter ID is a special ID that just goes to all American citizens. And when, like, it just automatically, if you're an American citizen, you get this identification. And when you get this identification, you are registered to vote automatically.
As
And it's
long
just,
as it is digitally, so that if you don't bring it with you physically,
yeah,
you have access to it. Because the issue you run into there, as the issue with ID in general, if you're somebody who's homeless, there's a high likelihood that things like your wallet are going to get stolen.
yeah.
That's one of the reasons why the voter ID thing has always rubbed me the wrong way. Even needing an ID in general rubs me the wrong way, because we live in an age of technology. We have everybody's information categorized down to your blood type on
Yeah.
a digital system. Use the fucking digital system. Oh wait, we do that because when I go and vote, they have it all on a fucking iPad.
Yeah, forgot to mention the ID is free in this case. Like, you get it's a specific voter card. You get a voter card, you're automatically registered, and it's free. Doesn't cost you anything. And so I think the Democrats should propose that. Republicans would oppose that, obviously, because it would increase how many people are able to vote. And so then you can say, like, oh, well, we proposed voter ID and you guys voted against it. So what are you asking for voter ID for?
Y'all. Also, Nicodemus and Halpaz, thank you both for following over on my end. But
Now we get to Marjorie Taylor Greene.
no, please no. Can we not?
This is your representative, Cirrus. She's yours.
No.
She says, if monkeypox is a sexually transmitted disease, it's not. Why are kids getting it?
Because it's not a sexually transmitted disease.
Yeah,
but I know what she's going for with this, because
it's a huge QAnon whistle.
It's talking about people being predators towards kids, and especially so when she talks about monkeypox being a sexually transmitted disease, she is only talking about gay people.
Yep.
She is gone. I've done a bit about her on her show saying that it's never going to happen to us. It can't happen to us because we are different. The difference is she says she's straight. Do I know that for a fact? I don't, but I'll believe her on it. So when she's saying monkeypox is a sexually transmitted disease and kids are getting it, the dots to connect there are gay people are the ones giving it to kids. That's
it's a
all
QAnon
that
dog
is.
whistle. This is groomer without saying groomer. Yeah, it's ridiculous because it's not a sexually transmitted disease. It's a close contact transmitted disease. Now, I kind of want to get into this because it's not like COVID. It's not going to be like COVID. We're not going to require like shutting down restaurants and stuff, because if somebody's in a restaurant with monkeypox, you're probably not going to get monkeypox from that person because it's transmitted through contact and surfaces and stuff, whereas COVID was airborne. But so I'm saying it's not sexually transmitted disease because it's not exclusively sexually transmitted. If you have sex with someone, that is close contact.
Yeah.
So if you have sex with someone that has monkeypox, you're gonna get monkeypox.
Well, it's like AIDS is a sexually transmitted disease because one of the only other ways to get AIDS is like sharing a needle with somebody.
Yeah.
You have to transmit those fluids specifically, and most of the time you're going to be transmitting fluids because of sex, not anything else. Usually,
Yeah, but we don't even know if monkeypox. Well, okay, I don't even know. Maybe they do know, and I just haven't seen the research. But I'm not sure if monkeypox actually transmits in seminal or vaginal fluids. It's just that if you're having sex with someone, you are in close contact with them. You're probably kissing them. You're exchanging all sorts of different bodily fluids.
Yeah.
So you're gonna get their monkeypox. But like you can get it from the blanket afterwards. Like if two people have sex on a bed and then you go sleep in that bed, you could get monkeypox from that even if you didn't have sex with either of those two people.
Well, the thing is, it is a pox, and most poxes are transmitted via skin contact or skin contact with clothing. This is why like smallpox blankets were a thing. This is why burning like children's toys was a thing during the smallpox epidemics in the United States, because as much as you love that teddy bear, you were infected and you touched it. It's got to go.
Yeah. So now monkeypox specifically, another benefit that we have with monkeypox over COVID is that this is not a new disease. We already have a vaccine for monkeypox. And on top of that, the smallpox vaccine is about 85% effective against monkeypox. And so that's like that's some really good news as far as...
Not to mention, we already had an outbreak of monkeypox over a decade ago, so we've got data to work with too.
Yeah, so this is not like... One of the things about COVID was that it was a new virus that was like completely... It was pretty much completely new. Like it's in a category of viruses that we know, but it itself was a new virus that wasn't really... Like there was no vaccine that we had for it. There was no data that we had for it. Whereas monkeypox, we've known about it for at least 50 years now. We've got a vaccine. The smallpox vaccine is also effective against it, up to like 85%, which is friggin' awesome for a vaccine.
I mean, the whole reason that most pox viruses end up working within their own families, if you look at the history of vaccines, smallpox or cowpox was one of the first diseases treated with vaccines.
No, so smallpox was treated with vaccines, but the first vaccine was actually to infect the person with cowpox, because cowpox was much more survivable than smallpox.
They used cowpox pustules to do it. It was actually one of the earliest Dangers of Who episodes I did on my channel.
Well, so the original smallpox vaccine, the cowpox, infecting someone with cowpox, it had something like a 10% mortality rate. So like the vaccine would kill 10% of the people that got the vaccine. And that was and that was the vaccine. Okay, maybe it wasn't smallpox, maybe it was something else, but like that was the vaccine that the Supreme Court of the United States decided that yes, you can force your citizens to get that vaccine, when it had a 10% fatality rate. And so now with modern technology where vaccines have a less than 1% fatality rate, like significantly less than 1% fatality rate, and it's like just extremely safety oriented before it even gets to the general public.
Well, a huge thing that helps now is that mRNA vaccine technology has become a lot more prevalent in the last decade. And mRNA vaccine technology allows your body to manufacture the spike protein for the disease, as opposed to you having to introduce a deadened version of the disease into the body. That's much more efficient.
Yeah, absolutely. So for this segment of the video, I will put a card in my thing to my vaccine video, but like I did a video on the vaccines and like how they developed the mRNA vaccine so quickly. Cause like the COVID vaccine, we had a working vaccine within 2 days of the genome of COVID being sequenced. We had the vaccine, but it took more than a year to actually say like, okay, this vaccine is safe and we can use it. So, but these people are saying, oh, it's still experimental. No, they did all the experiments already. It's just that the mRNA technology allowed them to develop it so quickly that the experiments happened a lot quicker than we're used to with vaccines.
I think that's the thing that people don't understand. Like the way we used to grow vaccines is we would have to get a culture of biomass, grow the disease on the culture, and then harvest enough of that harvest enough of that from those cultures to make a vaccine, which then require doing even more. With mRNA, the only problem we have is transportation.
You just need to figure out. Yeah, you just need to figure out which sequence of the viral DNA is the protein that we need to figure out, like to let your body know to identify that protein. We need to sequence that protein specifically, not the whole virus, and then introduce that to your body. And the mRNA vaccines, like this is one of the anti-vax talking points, is all the adjudicants. Adjudicants? I don't know. I've had too much scotch to know these words off the top of my head, but like all the additives that they add to the vaccines, the thimerosal, the like all this crap that's supposed to, like, they scaremonger about, but the purpose of it is to stimulate your immune system to actually respond to the thing. With the mRNA vaccines, it's literally just like, here's some mRNA and it's contained in oil droplets. If you look at the ingredients of the mRNA vaccines, it's like mRNA, oil, water, a little bit of salt. That's it. Like, there's nothing. They are the safest vaccines we have ever fucking developed.
Because literally all you're doing is just introducing something for your body to make a protein. That's all it is. The biggest issue we have with mRNA vaccines, truly and honestly, is transportation.
Yeah.
Because they have to be refrigerated. So getting them from one location to another can cause problems. But that's it. Like storage and refrigeration.
So Dr. Tisha says adjuvant. It's an adjuvant. That's the word I was looking for. Anyway.
Peg City says, so mRNA vaccines are essentially spicy salad dressing? Oh my God, they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a little bit of, they're just salad dressing going into your arms.
Oil and water, a little bit of vinegar. Why not? Okay, this is the last tweet of the night, and then I have to go cuddle my daughter, who's been like downstairs waiting for like 40 minutes. The transformed wife says college is a huge trap for most women. Instead of giving them the freedom that was promised, they become slaves to their debt and to their job. It keeps them far away from what is valuable in life: a husband, children, and their home. Don't fall for the trap, women. Like, why is that only valuable to women? Why not men?
I also have a question about this. How is the modern capitalist system as it exists right now not already doing that anyway? You're going to become a slave to your job. You're going to become a slave to your debt. That's just a feature, not a bug, of a system that is built on that. I want Transformed Wife to take these criticisms and apply them at a macro level and understand that, oh, wait a minute.
That just doesn't fucking work in our society.
This is just how reality is. Oops.
Yeah, like, I was in the extreme minority in that Mrs. Rhino could actually stay home with the kids. Most people can't afford that. And even us, like, there were times when we really probably should have sent her to work.
I know, like, in my situation, granted, I say this as somebody doing a subathon so that I can earn enough to pay for broken appliances in the house. Yeah. But me and Raz are really lucky that YouTube as a job is at least enough for us to afford everything we do. Now, we don't have kids. We have a lot of animals, which, one step left, another step back. But not everybody's in that situation. Most people aren't in that situation. I know my parents, when the economy was better than it is right now, still had to both work in order to provide for the house in any meaningful way. Like, this is just how things operate.
So about that, I accidentally gave myself a 25% pay cut this month because I forgot to charge patrons for one of my videos last month.
Oh, I've done that. It feels like when Patreon sends you like $400 or $500 less than you're expecting. You're like, wait.
I'm looking at the thing. I'm like, wait, why is my Patreon payout so low? Like, it hasn't been this low for like 2 years. What the fuck is going on? Shit, I didn't charge for that one episode. God damn it.
Yeah,
I'll be fine. Super chats are appreciated, though.
Are you saying you don't need me to raise several $1,000s on your channel again?
No. I will be fine. I mean,
because I can do it. I did it before. I'll do it again.
I won't say no to that, but I feel like you might need
don't make me raise money for you.
It's one of the, like, it hurts, but I am in the fortunate privileged situation where it's like, yes, it hurts, but I'll survive. a lot of people, if they take a 25% pay cut in 1 month, they'll lose their house, they'll lose all like their insurance and all sorts of shit. Like, I'll be fine. I'll survive. It's just a bit painful. But like, yeah, I'm fairly privileged as far as that is concerned, and I really do appreciate that. Anyway, that was the last tweet for the evening. I should probably roll the end credits because my daughter's like patiently waiting on the couch for me to come and cuddle her, because she since her mother died around 10 o'clock at night, she always wants her. We call them emergency cuddles. It's not really an emergency anymore, otherwise I would have just like immediately ended the stream as soon as I saw her. But yeah, it's one of those things that now it's become a habit that probably doesn't need to happen, but I'm not going to discourage it.
If it's a creature comfort that helps with mental health, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. So thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate it. It's been fun. We've been all over the place tonight.
Yeah, it's true.
Although we did stay more on topic than we've managed to in previous streams. So
are you sure about that? You're going to say differently when you look at the VOD.
Yeah, I'm going to go watch the recording back and be like, what the fuck was I talking about?
Yeah, no, I think I look forward to the message tomorrow where you message me on WhatsApp and go, so I actually lied. We did not stay on topic.
We'll see. Everybody super chat me in the last 2 minutes to make up for my 25% pay cut.
Jesus.
Bye. Okay, where's my end credits video? There it is.